So about 2 years ago, when I was completely bored out of my mind, I started writing new Ascension passives for every character in Genshin Impact for when they leveled up to level 100. Because I am still bored out of my mind, I decided to make this into a video as well. I have previously done this with the base roster for the game, so I'll now be starting with Venti, the first limited time character. When Elemental Burst, Wind's Grand Ode, defeats an opponent, increases its duration by 1 second. Burst duration can be increased this way by up to 5 seconds. When Storm Eye hits an enemy that cannot be pulled, creates a smaller Storm Eye that deals 28% of the original Storm Eye damage at the enemy's location. Up to 3 smaller Storm Eyes can exist at the same time and last until the end of the original Storm Eye's duration. Venti isn't exactly the best Anemo unit anymore, but he is still the best at the one thing he excels at, which is grouping. Unfortunately, throughout the course of the game, most new enemies aren't affected by the pulling power of Venti's Elemental Burst. I hope to fix that by essentially creating a smaller version of the Elemental Burst at the enemy's location, as well as increasing the duration for his burst just cause why not. Unlike the original, these smaller Storm Eyes won't be able to absorb an element. I think that would be way too powerful. Attack speed increased by 15%, reduced charge attack stamina consumption by 40%. If a normal attack does not hit an opponent, the attack will bounce and detonate upon impact. Sparks and Splash will now remain on the field even after Klee leaves the field. While Sparks and Splash is active, increases all party members' pyro damage bonus by 12% for every pyro party member on the team, up to 36%. Klee is known for her clunky animations, and although attack speed won't fix everything, it will mitigate it a little bit. Decreasing her charge attack stamina consumption from 50 to 30 will also make her charge attack more useful. Similar to her elemental skill, Klee's normal attacks will now bounce once before exploding. This will help increase her range a little bit. Finally, Sparks and Splash deactivating when Klee leaves the field is just stupid, and being that she's good in Mono Pyro anyway, I decided to give her a little bit of a damage bonus as well. When any party member is protected by Icy Paws, their energy recharge is increased by 30%. This will only affect the currently on-field character protected by Diona's shield. Opponents affected by Riptide will have their Hydro Res reduced by 16%. When Riptide transfers to another opponent, this effect is increased by an additional 4%, up to a maximum of 28%. When a Riptide Slash occurs, decreases skill cooldown by 1 second after the melee stance ends. Although still a really good unit, Child has seen better days, so hopefully the Hydro Resistance Shreds will help him a little bit. When in the melee stance and dealing damage to an opponent affected by Riptide, it will sometimes cause a Riptide Slash. For every time this happens, Child's elemental skill cooldown will be reduced by 1 second when the melee stance ends. This is simply because his cooldown is way too long. I know this is solved with C1 and C6, but not everyone has that. Xinyan's normal and charge attack gain an attack bonus while protected by level 1, 2 or 3 shield equal to 50, 65 or 95% of her defense respectively. Sweeping Fervor's shield absorption is increased by an additional 80% of Xinyan's attack. When activating, Xinyan's Elemental Burst increases her defense equal to 80% of her attack for 12 seconds. So let me explain. What I'm essentially trying to do is make Xinyan an opposite version of Noelle and Ito. After using her burst, Xinyan's defense will increase based on her attack. Additionally, even while outside of her elemental burst buff, Xinyan's normal and charge attack will deal additional damage while protected by one of her own shields. Normally, Xinyan doesn't gain enough out of speccing either into an attack or into defense. This way you can spec mostly into attack with some defense on the side, and the buff from her burst will make up the difference. Using my own Xinyan with a 2-piece defense and 2-piece physical set to make some calculations, while protected by a level 3 shield, Xinyan's normal attacks now did 50% more damage and her shield had 80% more health. However, after using her burst to gain a defense boost as well as her Constellation 2 which automatically gives her a shield, her normal attacks now did 120% more damage and her shield had 190% more health. This puts Xinyan's level 3 shield in competition with Layla's shield, who is known to have the second strongest shield in the game behind Zhongli. Although this won't of course fix all of Xinyan's problems, this will be a big step in the right direction, I believe. Zhongli's petrification will now last an additional 1.2 seconds, and the Geo-explosion caused by elemental skill will now hit an additional 2 opponents. I just personally think the petrification from his burst is just too short, so I decided to increase it a little bit. Increases elemental burst damage by 32% of Albedo's defense. For every Geo party member, excluding Albedo, increases Geo damage crit rate by 11%. For every non-Geo party member, increases elemental mastery by 80. It still confuses me as to why Albedo's burst does not use his defense stat as his skill does. The additional Geo crit rate and elemental mastery will allow Albedo to support his party no matter what kind of team he is in. Elemental skill grants a cryo shield that is equal to 20% of Ganyu's HP for 7 seconds. While protected by this shield, Ganyu gains 1.5 energy for every second she is on the field. Although not enough to allow her to stand on her own, this will allow Ganyu some more autonomy while performing charge attacks. And more energy is more energy. When Xiao's HP increases or decreases, increases damage dealt by 8% for 12 seconds, up to 6 stacks. Stack duration is calculated independently. Additionally, for every opponent defeated during Bane of All Evil, Xiao gains 4 energy. Xiao is probably the most buffed character in Genshin Impact, with 1 artifact set and 2 teammates designed especially for him. So why not buff him a little bit more? HP fluctuations have become much more important in 4.0, so I decided to go with that. Additionally, he can't really gain energy on his own during his burst, so I gave him a way to do so. Increases attack speed by 9% while in the Parameter Papilio state. Opponents affected by Blood Blossom have their Pyro-Res reduced by 12%. Although just barely, Hu Tao's still managing to hold on even today, so allowing her to apply Blood Blossom even faster and rack up even more damage will hopefully keep her relevant for slightly longer. Skill gains a second charge. When skill hits an opponent, reduces their physical and elemental resistance by 10% for 8 seconds. This effect cannot stack with itself. These days Rosaria is more used as a support, so allowing her teammates to do even more damage is obviously a no-brainer. When a Scarlet Seal is obtained, Yanfei gains 12% pyro damage bonus for 7 seconds, with a maximum of 4 stacks. Stacks are calculated independently. When using her elemental burst, Yanfei gains a 40% pyro crit rate bonus for the duration of her burst. By giving Yanfei a lot of pyro damage bonus, which will additionally stack with the pyro damage bonus gained from her first Ascension passive, this will allow Yanfei to use an attack goblet rather than a pyro damage one. Because in Genshin, the more you have of something, the less you get out of it, giving her an attack goblet will actually increase her damage much further than giving her a pyro damage one. The additional crit rate will also allow her to trigger her second passive, which causes an AoE pyro explosion much more frequently. Gaining Grimheart stacks increases attack speed by 8% and attack by 10% for 9 seconds, maximum 2 stacks. Eula is still, for all intensive purposes, the strongest character in the game. It's just the fact that she's a physical character that makes her bad. So until physical gets anything for it, I won't be able to do much for Eula. But at least for now, giving her some attack speed will allow her to stack up her burst much faster. Although it'll probably still be hard to get in all 30 hits, it's something better than nothing. When Kazuha's skill or burst absorbs an element, both Kazuha and party members of that element gain 60 elemental mastery for 6 seconds. This effect cannot stack with itself. Kazuha is already one of the most broken characters in the game, so I didn't want to give him anything too crazy. Anyway, that's new Ascension passives for every character in version 1. If you bothered watching all this, thank you for making it until the end of the video. And if you have your own ideas of what you'd change with certain Genshin Impact characters, make sure to let me know in the comments. But otherwise, I guess until next time, see ya.